Stepped on a giant roller coaster about 5 years ago and never got off yet.
Wow.
It's unbelievable how much our lives have changed.
What if the most dangerous thing in the swamp wasn't the gator in front of you, but the life you left behind to chase it? These weren't actors. They were real hunters, risking everything, fame, family, even their bodies, just to hold on to a way of life that's slipping through America's fingers. A hum beneath the swamp fog, a whisper of secrets. Why did some of these swamp legends vanish without warning? That quiet tension is where our story starts, and you'll want to stay close to uncover what they never told us. Picture this. Since 2010, cameras have tracked these Sinjun alligator hunters in the murky reaches of Louisiana's Atchafalaya Basin. On screen, they seemed unstoppable. 2-foot jaws, midnight ambushes, boats skimming cypress knees. But peek behind the scenes, and a darker current runs beneath. The father-son duo of R.J. Molinaire Jr. and J. Paul Molinaire exploded into our screens in Season 2. They brought over 60 years of swamp lore and brawn. R.J., a world champion arm wrestler, J. Paul, a Golden Gloves boxer, carrying both muscle and heritage into every hunt. That intensity sparked instant fan fever. But a single summer night in August 2013 cracked their legend. And the hook lands here. A late-night road rage showdown that took a violent turn. What began with taunts and brake lights ended in a convenience store melee. Reports say the Molinaires chased a 24-year-old man into a mini-mart parking lot. One beer bottle swung, and by the end, the victim had a swollen jaw, a busted cheek, a crimson knot across his forehead. Immediately, warrants sprang, and the two men surrendered. Aggravated battery charges hanging over their heads, their future on the show and in the swamp hung in the balance. Yet the twist? In court, their attorneys claimed they were defending themselves, that the alleged victim actually struck their truck first. Authorities dug deeper. Still, despite the drama, despite the headlines, the cameras stayed rolling. The Molinaires lined up hunts for several more seasons. There's no public record of conviction. Rumors now whisper a settlement out of court. But the episode scarred their reputation. They haven't filmed since, and fans wonder, was the swamp too hot? Or had they burned out? Meanwhile, not far down the bayou, another cast member's life ended too soon, but not on an alligator hunt. Randy Edwards, a true Louisiana legacy, heir to a swamp dynasty. His family, including brother Willie, had roots entrenched in those brackish waters. Randy appeared in multiple seasons from the outset, carving out respectable screen time and a devoted fan base. Then, in the early hours of September 15, 2018, tragedy struck. Driving a 2002 Silverado along LA 76 in Iberville Parish, he failed to negotiate a curve. The truck veered, hit a utility pole, flipped, and Randy was thrown free, landing under the night sky. He wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Toxicology reports hinted at possible impairment, though results remained private. His life extinguished instantly. He left behind a grieving wife and 3 small children. The bond between Mitchell Gist and his brother Glenn was more than blood. It was a rhythm of life shaped by wild rivers, quiet marshes, and a sacred heritage. Together, they lived in near isolation, surviving off the land in a way that resonated with generations yearning for simplicity and authenticity. Their segments on Swamp People weren't about spectacle, they were about legacy. They hunted not for fame, but to honor the skills passed down to them. So, when Mitchell collapsed one morning while working on a houseboat near Bell River, it sent ripples far beyond the bayou. At first, it seemed like a seizure. Later, doctors confirmed it was a heart attack. Glenn tried desperately to revive him, administering CPR until the paramedics arrived. But the hospital visit ended with a pronouncement no one was prepared for. The History Channel's public statement reflected more than a corporate response. It was the collective grief of a community. Mitchell had died not chasing television ratings, but doing what he loved, in the very swamp that made him a quiet legend. But some escapes are narrower than others. Tommy Chauvin, dubbed Trigger Tommy, was once fearless, always ready to face a gator alongside his stepfather Joe Lafont. Their partnership, grounded in trust and timing, became a fan favorite. Yet off-camera, Tommy endured 2 brushes with death that shook him to his core. In May 2012, he and Joe were part of a 5-vehicle pileup near the Arkansas-Louisiana border. They walked away physically unharmed, but only because Tommy's boat, hitched to the back, acted as a buffer, absorbing the brunt of the force. That wasn't luck. That was seconds away from tragedy. Then, in July 2019, came the moment that changed his life forever. A blast-related accident left Tommy severely injured. His right hand and thumb were nearly destroyed, his eardrums burst, his eyes damaged, and his chest peppered with abrasions. After 2 surgeries, doctors couldn't fully restore the function of his dominant hand. Work stopped. His career as a boat shed builder ended abruptly, and he was forced to miss the Alligator season. A GoFundMe campaign helped cover medical expenses, and during the COVID-19 pandemic, Tommy made the decision to walk away from the swamp and the cameras. The real twist? He didn't just survive. He evolved, choosing family, health, and stillness over adrenaline and fame. That's a move most people never get to make until it's too late. The swamp mourned him deeply. Fans flooded social media with stories of his humor, his quiet strength, his loyalty. His family asked only for privacy. In the wake of his death, a somber hush spread through the swamp community. 5 years later, his memory still echoes in empty riverbanks and in the ache of what might have been. And then there was Roger Rivers, a near-mythic face from Season 5. A fearless hunter from Zwolle, Louisiana, driven by one goal: to claim the swamp's biggest beasts. One unforgettable scene saw Roger flipped into the water by a gargantuan 12'7" monster, a moment that sent chills through viewers. He emerged soaked, triumphant, clutching the gator's tail, whispering an unmistakable declaration: "I do this to live off the land." That line defined him, not for fame, but for survival. But beneath that rugged exterior lurked troubling choices. In May 2017, he was arrested and jailed on 18 wildlife charges: illegally selling snapping turtles, capturing gators without permits, trafficking wild meat, failing to tag trophies, and yes, even marijuana possession. Suddenly, the man seen as a folk hero morphed into a poacher in the eyes of wildlife officials. Bonds were posted, but his legend unraveled. The charges peeled back a layer of glam to reveal a grayer reality. Hunting blurred with commerce, necessity tipped into violation. Just when it seemed the legal storm had passed, in September 2022, Roger resurfaced under fresh allegations: residential contractor fraud. Accused of taking $6,000 to build, then vanishing without doing the work, the charges hit his credibility again. Bond was set, court dates scheduled, and once more, Roger stood accused in full view of a public that once cheered him on TV. Through it all, he repeated a promise: "It's what I love, and I will do it till I die." But can passion survive when legal lines are crossed? What ties all these tales together isn't just fame or tragedy, it's the raw collision of tradition and modern exposure. Cameras amplified their every triumph, every misstep. And when that spotlight hit, it magnified their flaws, their choices, their impulsive moments under pressure. These canoeing hunts and midnight flushes feel almost cinematic, but the consequences hit hard, off-screen and unfiltered. That's the hook we haven't let go of yet. Behind the swamp camouflage, what price did they pay? Continuing from the shadows of Part 1, the swamp's whispers only grow louder. And you're right in the thick of it. The story unfolds without skipping a beat, pulling you deeper into a world where fame, tradition, and law collide in ways you never saw coming. Trapper Joe Lafont, known on screen as Trapper Joe, wasn't just a swamp legend. He embodied the rugged spirit of Sinjun alligator hunting. His partnership with stepson Tommy Chauvin felt like folklore come alive. Calls across murky bayous, sudden adrenaline, the pride of passing down a legacy. But the lure of cameras couldn't erase the cracks in the off-screen life. And here's where it turns gripping. By June 2012, at a Florida resort just beyond Disney's lights, Trapper Joe was arrested following a heated dispute. Witnesses remembered seeing a tense confrontation that escalated dangerously close to violence. The police affidavit hinted at a chaotic scene, algorithms of alcohol, anger, and regret. And although the woman involved declined to press charges, silence in these situations often masks a deeper fracture. A few years later, in May 2015, the tension resurfaced, this time in Plaquemines Parish. At home, amid the quiet of the swamp night, another altercation ended with Trapper Joe facing serious allegations. His live-in partner reported fractured ribs after a fall sparked by pushing. She didn't get medical attention right away, but the injuries later confirmed the severity. This time, though, she too refused to pursue legal action. Still, prosecutors stepped in, examining every angle. After 2016, Trapper Joe vanished from the show. The swamp camera rolled on, but he did not, his presence replaced by uneasy memory. Was his departure forced? Did the show distance itself to protect its image? Or had the swamp taught him to walk away before he drowned? As Joe's story paused, another cast member's fall from grace took center stage. Nicholas Payne, a trainee under veteran Bruce Mitchell, was poised to continue the swamp tradition. But in September 2011, a routine day shattered that trajectory. At Payne's Pearl River home, deputies responded to a disturbance. What seemed a petty noise complaint escalated into physical resistance. A female deputy tried issuing a citation. Payne fought back, striking her in the chest. The struggle moved into the woods, where K-9 units tracked him down. They cornered him. He was bitten. He was taken to a hospital. The arrest report revealed he was also wanted in Florida on a drug paraphernalia warrant. Suddenly, Payne faced charges for battery on an officer, resisting arrest, disturbing the peace, and being a fugitive. Bail was set at $10,000. He never paid. He never returned. The swamp camera cut his storyline abruptly, and he never returned. The camera refocused on those who remained, and among them was Troy Landry, long hailed as the king of the swamp. His booming laugh, unbreakable confidence, and love for family made him a fan favorite from day one. But by September 19, 2024, even Troy's empire showed cracks. Undercover officers from Louisiana's wildlife and fisheries staged a sting at Lake Palourde. They had a tip about unauthorized gator lines. What they found on that foggy morning: Troy, a younger woman, and a cameraman retrieving a 7 to 8 foot alligator. The tags didn't match the location. Investigators say Troy admitted he couldn't find the correct tags and used ones from another parish. He even admitted dumping a dead alligator back into the water. The result? 2 citations for failing to tag and discarding wildlife, boat and engine seized, fines up to $950 per offense, and up to 120 days behind bars per charge. Troy's court date is set for January 2025. When approached, he shrugged away questions, admitting only that he got a speeding ticket last month. His daughter-in-law insisted it was just a ticket, but the press had already turned that into something more. In a world built on respect for nature and tradition, this feels like a betrayal. A quiet end to a legend's golden era. Next in the unfolding story is Chase Landry, Troy's son, whose showdown with a shrimp boat in 2016 sparked waves beyond the Bayou. That afternoon in Terrebonne Parish, Chase spotted a vessel causing dangerous wake. Laden with gator wares, his skiff was vulnerable. From the heat of that moment, he fired a warning shot toward the approaching boat, puncturing a fuel can. The shrimp boat operator, around 250 yards out, swore he posed no threat. But in those seconds, Chase's instincts overtook his judgment. He was charged with illegal discharge of a weapon and booked into the parish jail. Instant headlines followed. Heated debate ignited. Was it self-defense or a reckless act? The swamp ethos teaches survival. But when does survival shape lawlessness? Then there's Mitchell Gist, who took a completely different path to tragedy. Mitchell and his brother Glenn were quiet, resilient bedrocks of the swamp, featured in the first seasons. He died May 14, 2012, 4 days shy of turning 48. The scene: the Belle River near Pierre Part. He slipped from his boat while loading it, collapsed, and died at the hospital. Initial reports suggested a seizure. The coroner eventually confirmed a heart attack, natural causes. His death didn't crash through headlines. It washed over the swamp like a quiet wave, leaving a hush where his laughter used to echo. Today, no legal drama clouds his legacy. Just a simple, somber reminder. Living close to nature means facing life's fragility with humility. You've been with me through the shadows and revelations of swamp life, and in this final act, we uncover the full impact, emotional, moral, and financial. This is the closing chapter of our story, raw, reflective, and unforgettable. Mitchell Gist and his brother Glenn lived quietly, grounded in tradition. They were the heart of swamp authenticity, teaching us that survival isn't about spectacle. It's about deep roots and quiet resilience. On the morning Mitchell died, he was working on a houseboat near Belle River when he collapsed. Early whispers hinted at a seizure, but autopsy results confirmed a heart attack. His brother, Glenn, tried CPR, but it wasn't enough. At the hospital, Mitchell was pronounced gone. The History Channel mourned him as a treasured member of the swamp family. His death was not violent or scandalous, but it hit differently. A sudden loss of life felt like the swamp itself exhaled a long, sorrowful sigh. Then there's Tommy Chauvin, Trigger Tommy, whose bond with stepfather Joe Lafont defined their segment of swamp people. Their hunts thrilled audiences, but Tommy narrowly escaped fate's darker side. In May 2012, a 5-vehicle collision near the Arkansas-Louisiana line should have ended his journey. He walked away uninjured, shielded by his boat crumpled like a steel cocoon around him. But July 2019 struck harder. A blast in his workshop nearly cost him his right hand and thumb, shattered eardrums, damaged vision, and tore into his chest and arms. 2 surgeries tried to preserve what remained, but full function never returned. Financial strain followed, and a GoFundMe launched to help cover medical costs. Tommy stepped away from hunting and the show during the COVID-19 pandemic, choosing to heal and protect his family instead. A hint of tragedy, Yet his story ended not in downfall, but in choice. The hardest battles are fought off-camera. Dusty Crumb's chapter seems pulled from a survival thriller. Known for wrestling invasive Burmese pythons in the Everglades, Dusty lived on the edge. On November 4, 2021, a trailer tire blew out on Interstate 77 in Florida. The truck flipped 3 times. His leg smashed through glass, and weight crushed it. Alone, bleeding, he used his shirt as a tourniquet until help arrived. Doctors at Lee Memorial Hospital acted fast. 5 surgeries later, they still weren't sure they'd save the limb. Yet in 2023, Dusty returned to the swamp on the spin-off series Swamp People, Serpent Invasion. He chose recovery over quitting, proving that survival isn't just physical, it's a decision. Even their canine sidekick, Tyler the Swamp Dog, touched hearts. Adopted by Bruce Mitchell, Tyler was more than a pet. He was a member of the swamp family. For 13 years, he learned swamp rhythms, helping track gators, alerting Bruce to hidden dangers, even diving into water to assist hunts. In 2014, Tyler died in his sleep from heart failure. Bruce announced the loss in a tender note, thanking fans as if Tyler had been a colleague. That moment reminded everyone that even legends leave behind the simplest, purest loss: the silence, when a loved one is gone. As the Swamp's cast reveals these scars, physical, legal, emotional, you sense a wider transformation. Their lives challenge what fame brought them, and what it cost. Every scene they filmed, every trophy caught, every headline made, carved a path into something deeper. The swamp taught them, but the camera changed them, and the aftermath reshaped us all. Now, let's shift to money. Troy Landry, once just another family hunter, is now the central figure of this story. Initially rooted in tradition, he's built a legacy worth between $800,000 and $3 million. Sources vary, likely around $2 million according to a recent review of earnings, real estate, merch, and seafood ventures. Troy's humble beginnings are etched into his $400,000 to $500,000 Pierre Part home. Built from cypress wood he harvested himself, featuring a trophy wall, hunting workshop, and sprawling waterfront access, he drives a custom Ford F-250, plastered with Swamp People decals, a badge of pride and brand identity. Rumors say he owns a vintage watch and a modest collection of luxury timepieces tied to his TV earnings, though nothing overly flashy. His assets suit a hard-working, swamp-born celeb. On top of that, Troy's portfolio includes his seafood business, crawfish farming and wild harvest, supplemented by merch like Chewtum hats, shirts, and mobile game licensing. While there's no record of private jets, he invests in health, asset insurance, and liability coverage, typical for public figures who work in risky environments. His risk management is conservative, practical, just like his career. Financially, Troy's path reminds us of legacy. Authenticity pays, but diversification protects, and fame is fleeting, but rooted investments endure. Comparing his early life, swamp-hungry, indebted, living in a trailer, with today's land, business ventures, and modest assets, shows transformation built on grit, not greed. His influence isn't just on screen. It's in the livelihoods he's helped create, the culture he's preserved, and the financial blueprint he's laid. As we close this series, one question lingers. What do we take from this? For every gator he's caught, every legal battle fought, every loss mourned, there's a lesson. Fame amplifies choice. Cameras reveal flaws. Legacy is crafted in quiet decisions. Money doesn't fix everything, but used well, it preserves what matters: family, heritage, and the swamp's next generation. So, who will remember them when the lights dim? the ones who chose to rebuild, the ones who walked away, the ones who held on. The swamp doesn't forget, but it forgives those who return with purpose. Their stories remind us what it really means to endure. If this journey moved you, drop a comment below. We'd love to hear who impacted you most. And if you're not subscribed yet, this is Jew.